Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Wrestleview Live number 60. A nice big round number for the Wrestleview Live shows. I'm Mike Tedesco of Wrestleview.com, the editor-in-chief, roving reporter, and...
I'm Victoria Tedesco of the Post-Raw show on Wrestleview.com.
Oh, that's right. Yes, we are also the hosts of the Post-Raw show. But I
don't have a long resume like you, sorry.
Oh, well, that's okay. That's okay. I kind of beef myself up anyway, you know, just a little bit. It's okay. It's okay. I guess I'm allowed to.
You're allowed. I think you can give bragging rights a little bit.
Well. We have an exciting pay-per-view to talk about.
Yeah.
We are going to be talking about AEW's second ever pay-per-view. Okay? Fyter Fest. I can't say that All In counts because that was kind of a one-off show that wasn't really AEW.
Yeah.
But... hey, this is kind of AEW-ish, you know.
This isn't ish. This is AEW.
This is AEW, yeah. So we got Fyter Fest to talk about tonight. Let us say hello to some people in the chat room real quick before we even start going. It's like mind-boggling to me that there are people here on Saturday night willing to listen to us talk about AEWs.
Who would have thunk it?
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, we have James Lacarenza in the chat room. Nafis Sadat, our dear friend Nafis. Mex Guy 718. We have Ronnie in the chat room. We have Shifty Gizm in the chat room. Of course, we have Quentin. How could I cannot forget Quentin. I will never forget Quentin.
I think Quentin was first.
Randy M in the chat room we have, and of course, the indefatigable, wonderful Billy Hefner in the chat room with us.
Love you, Billy.
And hey, you never know. More people might show up. We'll see as we go on. Okay. So, AEW Fyter Fest. AEW's second pay-per-view ever. Let's just tell you what we think of it real quick. I'm going to say automatically, I'm going to give it a thumbs up right off the bat.
Me too, absolutely.
I thought it was a good show. Honestly, if you watched the pre-show, it's a good thing that this show was free. Because if they were going to make a hard sell to try to get you to buy this pay-per-view, and they put on that pre-show, I don't know. I mean, of course, I was going to buy it. I'm the wrestling recapper guy.
Right, of course.
and Victoria's going to watch it with me because we're doing a post show. But if I was just a regular guy thinking of stuff to do on a Saturday night and I was like, let's give wrestling a chance. Let's check out the pre-show. I don't know what the hell's going on. Let's see the pre-show, see if it's worth buying. I'm not sure that I would have committed to
actually
to buying
watching the event.
I thought the pre-show outside of a three-way tag was awful.
How long was the pre-show again?
An hour.
And it
felt like this pay-per-view itself was about 2.5 hours, I would say. That pre-show felt every bit as long as the pay-per-view itself did. Wow, I heard us in the background. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, we sound pretty good.
Okay.
The mics are sounding good. Yeah, I was a little concerned about the mics. That's why it was taking a little long to get us set up tonight because I was kind of freaking out a little bit about the mics. Yeah, I gotta tell you, there's quite a lot on the show that I liked, and we're gonna get into that momentarily. There's a few things on the show though that definitely made me cringe. Now, number one. Let's talk about what they did right first, and let's kind of do what we do on the regular Wrestleview Lives. We'll take one aspect of the show and talk about why it was our favorite, and then we'll talk about something that we definitely didn't like. But the one thing that I think universally you and I were even saying, there was less talk of WWE on the show tonight.
Oh, definitely.
There. I don't think there was really one underhanded mention of it tonight.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't even think there was any shade thrown. I can't even think of any subtle shade that was thrown.
No.
And anybody in the chat can correct us if we're wrong, and maybe they picked up on something that we didn't. But I don't believe that there was anything that was even directed towards WWE at all.
No, and all they were doing really tonight was just putting over the stuff that they're doing, the stuff that they're doing right. referees mean something. Like their authority is final. Because I guess like that could be a slight at WWE, but in that sense, it's just like really like we're putting over our company as like more legit, and that like or like just going back to the way things used to be. That's not really a dig at WWE. It's just kind of explaining what the hell you're doing. And that's
with your
product.
I think they're
right
just
now.
kind of more or less just doing things. They're not necessarily saying, what they're doing that's better or not. You know what I mean? Like there's. Just let your product sell for itself. And I think that's like what the point we were trying to make the last time was. They have a good thing going here. Mm-hmm. And tonight was a good indication of that as well. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, exactly. So it was good stuff. It was a good deal. Let's take a look at the Twitter. Let's see what everybody thinks of it. And we have 89% thumbs up. Just lower your camera. It's a tiny little bit. 89% thumbs up. Yeah, people seem to be digging it. Let's talk about it. Okay, so let's go to you first, Victoria. What was your favorite part of this show? My favorite part of the show was the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks with Kenny Omega.
Okay.
That was my favorite match, and it was my favorite part of the show. I really, really liked that. The match overall, that was like the one that engaged me the most. Not that the main event didn't engage me at all. You know what I mean? It definitely did, and it piqued my interest for sure. But that match overall, again, that tag match, for whatever reason, I really liked it.
Yeah, a lot of action.
And the one, like, really, really tiny thing that I really enjoyed was during the Nyla Rose... oh my gosh, yeah. Saki and
Sakazaki
and
Riho.
Riho.
Yeah.
What I really liked how they the one main thing I really liked was in Riho, and they were trying to lift Nyla Rose, like the both of them, and they couldn't do it. I know it's like sounds really small, like a really like minuscule thing to really enjoy, but the reason why I like that so much is because they're utilizing their characters the way that they're supposed to. And we'll definitely talk about that more when we get to that match. But you have Nyla Rose, who's a bigger woman, with these two more petite women, and they were showing that, like, okay, then how are we gonna possibly like lift her over, So that's the reason why I like that mini part of that match.
Yeah,
it just
that the power dynamic in that match, Nyla Rose. Yuki Sakazaki and Riho was freaking awesome.
Yeah, no,
they really put over Nyla Rose big time as a monster, and Riho wound up getting the pin on Nyla Rose on like one of those like slip on a banana peel cradle finishes. So it wasn't like a huge convincing win, but it played into a story. That's why I liked it. A lot of these matches just had a story to them. Like I've been praising WWE lately because they've finally been like using their matches to tell some stories, like especially with the Good Brothers and what they're doing with, gloating a little bit. They did the same thing here with Nyla Rose. She was gloating, she slammed Riho, I think, at one point, and she went for like a lax cover and didn't put her away, or she slammed her and then she was crawling around posing a bit. And so she had multiple instances of putting them away, and she was getting a little too into herself.
Yeah, no,
and she wound up slipping on the banana peel.
That moment in particular just really struck out to me, just because, just things that I have been comparing to WWE with, someone like Nia Jax, who should be just demolishing these women.
Oh yeah,
do you know what I mean?
You can't help but make comparisons with Nyla Rose and Nia Jax.
And that's what
this is how you book a big woman.
That's why I liked it, because they weren't able to. These really tiny women, they're not going to be able to flip her over like that easily. They struggled, and they didn't do it. She wound up flipping them over.
Right. Yeah.
So
the
that's
suplex. Yep.
That's why I really liked that part of the match in particular.
Okay, so you had two things you couldn't make a decision.
No.
It was the six. So it was the six man tag and the triple threat with the women.
Yes.
If I had to pick one match that I enjoyed a lot, I was always into. I was always into a really good hardcore match, and I gotta tell you, Jon Moxley. I guess I don't know. Can you really say that he made his AEW debut tonight, since the match was unsanctioned and not part of the show? But him and Joey Janela had an absolutely just there were moments where you were just watching it and kind of just cringing because they were just doing so many nasty things to one another. Elbow drop off a ladder through the tables at ringside from Janela to Moxley. Hurricane Rana onto a barbed wire wrapped steel chair. 2 barbed wire boards that they were just bringing in and just murdering each other with. Moxley got slammed through it, and then Janela got slammed through one at ringside. Moxley's back was just absolutely trash. Looked like a Swiss cheese shredder. I'm surprised they didn't use that either. Just some stiff shots. Just a lot of fun to watch. And then the thumbtacks came out, and Joey I've never seen anything like this, and I never even thought that something like this could happen. Like the violence in this match was like next level violence, but it was well done. I gotta say, it was gnarly. It was gross, but it was, I don't know. To me, I was like, oh, this is. It's gross. I can't look, but it's fun to watch all at the same time.
You have to look.
Moxley takes off Janela's shoes and socks, and then slams him feet first onto the thumbtacks. He had thumbtacks embedded in the soles of his feet, which was so nasty. And then a double arm DDT onto the tacks, and actually Moxley wound up with having more tacks in his back than Janela. It was crazy. I mean, that was just a brutal battle.
Definitely.
And like Shifty Gism said, like Lex said, there was some slight shade. Now that he mentions it,
I was gonna say, I'm glad we mentioned it to the live chat, because I said before, if anybody in the live chat can point out anything, by all means, seriously.
Right. Yeah, there was slight shade in this match by saying there was no PG version of Moxley.
Okay.
And Billy is saying also, Billy Hefner is saying that there was some shade because they had them watching the TV in the back. You know how like WWE has people watching TV like this? Like nobody watches TV like that. So they had Brandy Rhodes standing like right in front of a TV. You only saw his back of her head. Then they zoom around and then you see that it's Brandy Rhodes.
Okay, good. All right,
which is fine. I don't know how much of a dig that is, other than just being more realistic.
But I'm glad that other people were kind of able to notice it.
Yeah.
But it was definitely.
But like these aren't like overt in your face like. Smashing the throne and, whatever they were doing, talking about, we're allowed to say the referees' names. We're allowed to do this, you're not going to see any of this crap on this show. It's like that, it was much more subdued. It was 100%. More like, here's our product. Here's why we think you should be watching it.
Right.
I think that's good television.
Sell yourself.
Yes. I think that's a great idea. So, just totally awesome. Mex Guy says this was just a regular night for Janela. Now, the thing I liked most about the Moxley-Janela match was the fact that the Kenny Omega post-match attack, because that ties into what they did at Double or Nothing, and it's just, like, again, these are just easy setups for matches coming up at the bigger shows. Obviously, this was not a big show, as opposed to like what Double or Nothing was, or what All In's going to be. Even Fight for the Fallen coming up in 2 weeks, that's a bigger show than this, and they're kind of like making it clear, like, yeah, these are our bigger shows. But at the same time, they did a good job setting some of this stuff up. So I really like that. I really like that. And I guess since you picked 2, can I pick another one?
Sure.
Okay. I guess you know what? I have to go with Christopher Daniels versus Shima. The
first match.
Yes. You can't.
So why don't we kind of transition that in then?
Okay, let's do that.
Since it's your second pick and then it's the first match of the show.
Right. Okay.
There you go.
So what we'll do now is just run the pay-per-view down
and explain.
step by step and explain why we liked it, stuff that we didn't like, and go from there. Okay? So we'll just get back to like we do it in the post-Raw show. They said, don't compare Nyla to Nia. Nia hurts people. Nia's a horrible and dangerous worker. Okay, yeah. She definitely has hurt some people. There's no doubt about that. All right. The reason why I liked Daniels and Shima so much is you can't understate enough how important an opening match is to the show. It sets the tone for the show. And you have to walk a fine line. Sometimes, like I think that art has gotten lost a little bit. Yeah, they still put out like on other pay-per-views on other companies, they still put out shows, where like, there's like, oh, this is the first match, cool. Like, WrestleMania comes to mind with Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. That's a first match. But like but to take like, two guys that aren't the main event, but it's still going to be a good match. It's going to be a good match, to have them go out there, set the tone. They don't do too many crazy things. There's really no big time. You're not going to see a million finisher kickouts and everybody's going, oh my God. Like, you wouldn't put like Moxley and Janela first and then have
no,
everybody
most certainly
that.
not.
But they set the tone. They get the crowd warmed up, especially after that hideous pre-show. Absolutely hideous. I don't know what the hell was going on with I forget the guy, the CEO of the owner of CEO Gaming was in a match like against Michael Nagasaki or something like that. I forget the guy's name. But I was just kind of watching it, out of the corner of my eye. I wasn't really paying attention too much to the pre-show because I got turned off by the Leva Bates alley match. I just thought that was just so terrible. I thought it was just an awful freaking match. They kind of like woke you up a little bit. They got the crowd into it, and now it's like, okay, that was like whatever. That was the pre-show, and here's the main show.
This is the real deal now.
This is how you start the main show. And they had a great match. It was a simple story. Like, they have a nice backstory. Shima and Christopher Daniels have known each other. They fought at some point in 1999, and they've known each other through the years. They've wrestled a million times. So this is where Jim Ross does a great job, talking about the winner's purse and how they, how maybe they'll incorporate a new move or two tonight since they know each other so well.
Right,
and,
right.
Like, he paints just a beautiful picture. Like
he absolutely does.
If you're trying to run like a professional wrestling company and want to show the world how professional wrestling is done, you need a guy like Jim Ross who's been there, done that with professional wrestling.
That was you made a really good point about that, because I found the commentary, especially Jim Ross, obviously, very helpful tonight, because I'm still getting used to all these new individuals and these wrestlers. So getting those backstories. But what was helpful was I'm like, oh, I kind of know a little bit already from the first show what was going on, but now I'm getting even more and more into it because now I know a little bit more about these people and I'm learning more each time from when they have a match. Yeah. So I just want to ask you a question though, because I agree with you that this was that the Shima versus
Christopher Daniels.
Sorry, my names in general are just I can't remember things lately. But I agree. This was a great match to set the tone for the evening.
Oh, yeah.
But the only question I have to ask you is, I found major similarities in the format of the show and the placement of individuals from this show to the last show. They kind of had the same place setting as far as matches went.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So, like,
what do you think about that, though? Because I can kind of see it like overall, like I said, I think because I enjoyed the show overall. Yeah. To me, again, like last time, it did start off a little bit slow and then it progressively got better. But what's your theory on like putting, obviously, like you said, Moxley and Janela, you have to put at the main event. You have to. Like that. Yes. That's just like, there's no question about it.
Most definitely.
But what do you think about something like the Young Bucks and Lucha Brothers match, like maybe in the middle of the show, and like having Cody Rhodes and oh my God, who did Cody Rhodes face tonight?
Darby Allin.
Yeah,
Allen. Yeah.
What do you? Because they had, to me, they had a very similar format. It was like a match
from Double or Nothing.
Yeah, match, the females, another match. Mm-hmm. Cody and Dusty were in the middle. Then you had the tags. And then you had the main event.
Yeah. Okay. I like it because it's different from what we're used to, I guess. Okay. This is kind of like the New Japan format where you have your undercard, which is like strictly your people that are on the undercard. So like the women, there's no women's title yet. Like I guess they're starting to develop like what it's going to be.
Exactly, right.
So you want to have, they're exciting matches, but like they're not like matches that have like any like real implications on things. Okay. Daniels and Shima, that's just kind of like a grudge match, like, get the pay-per-view started off nice.
And I agree with you on that match. I really do.
Yeah, no, that was the perfect way to open up the show. And then after that, you had Riho and defeating Nyla Rose and Yuka Sakazaki. Again, another good match. And that 4-way with the contender, the number, obviously he's going to be facing Jericho for the AEW World Championship at All Out. Hangman Adam Page in there with rising stars in MJF, Jungle Boy, and Jimmy Havoc.
Right.
And then you put on your main events. Boom, boom, boom. I don't like that. It's tough. We've been to other shows with other companies. I don't want to make this a WWE fest, but what? Like the comparisons are inevitable.
I think
honestly,
let me
for
just
right
say this
now, real quick. Like I don't like going to a pay-per-view and seeing a really hot match, and you just want more after that, and then they give you the cool down because they think the audience needs to cool down. So we're going to put a crappy match out there now, or a match that people aren't interested in, or we're going to do a stupid segment. I kind of like just keeping the action going. Now, Cody versus Darby Allin was, they knew they booked it to be a 20-minute time limit draw.
Mm-hmm.
So they can only get the crowd to this level. They knew that Lucha Bros and Laredo Kid versus the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega was going to get the crowd to this level. It's a natural build. These are big matches. And then finally, you want it to peak with the main event. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the main event's not that good. This one was.
No, yeah, absolutely.
And the crowd loved it, and the post-match was even better. So the main event brought it up to here. It's just, it's just like...
you like a build.
It's kind of like layering bricks and stuff like that.
You like a build. Okay.
Yes, you want to have a good foundation with your first match, and then you put the second brick, third brick, and then, eventually, or building an arch, you want to put the keystone, right there. So you have to have the surrounding bricks kind of like, hold up the keystone. And, it builds it up to that.
Okay.
You can't put the keystone in first. You have to put everything else in there. So
all right.
That's a weird comparison, I guess.
No, it makes sense. I was just curious on your thought. And like I said, I think, like you just said before, I think it's kind of inevitable you have to make the comparisons, especially in the beginning, because it's just so new. The product's just so new.
Yeah, and you know what?
Like, we're going to have to make comparisons. And that's the reason why I brought that topic up as far as, like, the placement of the matches, because I think right now, am so conditioned to, like, hot match, hot match, or... another hot match, and then it's like, so back and forth.
Sometimes you do that hot match, and then you go to the F match, and you don't get the crowd back for the other good match.
Right, and
I've seen that happen a gazillion times.
I'm also conditioned to not having a great main event. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like this one tonight. But that's why I was just curious on your thoughts as far as you like their format. It was very similar to their like I said, their first show. Right. And I'm just curious if that's what kind of like the moment like they're going to have for going forward.
That's the way to do it. In my opinion, I like that format. Honestly, I guess everything's a shot in the dark when you're putting a match card together. You hope everything goes the way you think it's going to go in your mind, but you don't know until you get out there. You don't know until you see what kind of crowd you have. But twice in a row now they've caught lightning in a bottle with the perfect progression to a card.
Okay.
And you keep it going like that. If you keep trying to just give action, you're for the most part, I think you're going to succeed really, really well.
Okay.
Now I have to call a technical foul in the chat room real quick. Please, nobody mention Jim Cornette in this chat room, please. Or that you agree with Randy. For shame, you agree with Jim Cornette. They didn't need Jimmy Havoc and Jungle Boy in that Fatal 4. MJF and Hangman would have sufficed. I don't. I just can't agree with that. And we'll talk about that Fatal 4 in a second.
About it later.
But Jim Cornette, crazy man. He's a crazy man. He hates AEW. So it's like, how can you even? He basically hates all wrestling, but except 80s stuff. So it's hard to take him seriously. Okay, so. I liked Shima and Christopher Daniels.
No, I liked the match too, and I thought that great first match.
Yeah, great first match. Riho versus Nyla Rose versus Yuka Sakazaki. We already kind of talked about this match, but there were some really fun power moves in this match with Nyla Rose. I loved, first of all, Nyla Rose coming up the top rope. That's pretty cool. Knee to the back of the neck of Riho. who was hanging on top rope. That was a nice spot. Here's another cool spot here too. Oh, don't tell me I didn't put it in here. Oh, Mike, you idiot. Anyway, there was a really neat spot where I think it was Riho came off the top rope for a crossbody on Nyla Rose, right? Rose catches her. And you think that now here, like in your mind, you're like, oh, I've seen this before. Now here comes the other one to knock her down. And Sakazaki now, of course, comes off the top rope with a crossbody, and Rose catches her too. So she's holding both of them up. That's crazy. That's awesome.
That's why I really like this match, because it just had a true sense of what you look at the individual wrestler in the match and you're like, this is what it should be. This is like, everyone was very typical of their character, a high flyer, a powerhouse. Like it just made sense.
Yep. Yeah.
It did.
I
Gloating too much
right.
when you're in the midst of your power and your offense. Like you're getting a little too cocky and everything else. That's why I really like this, because it just everything about it worked. Yeah. Everything about it really, really worked.
And it caught up with her at the end with the
exactly.
But like I love the I love the them trying to whip her into the ropes, and then she just winds up whipping them. They go for a double team suplex. She suplexes them instead.
That's what I loved.
And then when they finally took her down, the crowd was like really, they were really happy, and they even wound up with a well-deserved, because sometimes it happens and it's not the case. Sometimes the crowd tries to will a match into being awesome. It's not. This one was. They chanted, "This is awesome," and this crowd, by the way, for the most part, was very, very good. I really, really, this was a very good triple threat. And again, like these Japanese imports to AEW are going to really set them apart, especially if you're going to build your women's division off of people like Yuka Sakazaki and Riho. You have a strong foundation there.
But even
Nyla Rose, excuse me.
Yes.
Don't let me forget Nyla Rose. But I'm just saying.
No.
Because they'll do all the technical stuff, and Nyla Rose can come out and just do all the monster moves. That's so cool. And
what I loved about that, they were trying to get over on her, and she wasn't selling it to the point where she was I'm immediately defeated by a kick to my head. No, she was playing it as a little bit okay, that hurt, but not really.
Right.
And which I expect. Because when you see, again, I'm sorry to mention WWE, when we see someone like Nia Jax, sometimes she sells it to the point where it's just she's so dramatic, and it's it's somebody like Alexa Bliss who's kicking her in the head.
Yeah, well, that's just the way they just book in that company.
I know, but
but that's what'll set them apart. You have a strong foundation here. I would put that. If they continue to build this and keep bringing in people like this, with dynamic matches like they had tonight, I'd put this women's division up against any companies anytime.
And I think
anywhere.
And I think what's really good about this too is that the commentary was painting the picture for you.
Yes.
Nyla Rose is preparing for Awesome Kong.
Right. And they're also still they don't just assume, we had one show. They know who everybody is. They're still painting the picture. They're still introducing you to these people.
Yes.
So they understand that you might have some prior knowledge if you saw Double or Nothing, but they keep reiterating who they are and introducing. Very, very good. And I like that they keep reminding you what they did at Double or Nothing. Very good stuff.
Yeah.
Very good stuff. Good stuff. All right. The Fatal 4-Way, MJF versus Jungle Boy, who was with Luchasaurus, which was totally awesome. Jimmy Havoc and Hangman Adam Page, the number one contender, or one of the number one contenders for the AEW World Championship, to be the inaugural champion. Before this match, MJF, who you were digging his opening promo to this match. Was wearing his Burberry scarf, doing his MJF thing. They chanted that he sucks, and he says, "Yeah, I suck, but your mother swallows." But all that stuff. That was a little risque, but I was okay with it. But the line that got me, because he was talking about how they're basically the crowd's just a bunch of virgins because it's a video game fest that they're at. They're doing this at a gaming fest, and he goes, "I can't believe you're talking over me. If I was interested in your lives, I'd turn on TLC and watch my 600-pound life." And then he's like, wait, I think we got off on the wrong foot here. It's just so funny. I was like, this is good.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling
Yeah.
the and the reason why is because when they finally do have consistent shows in the fall with TNT, what's going to be nice is you have somebody who can carry on segments, because it was a lot of action tonight. There wasn't any video packaging. There wasn't any like in-between stuff, really. This was one of the in-between moments. But if this is what, you know what I mean? Like if this is what this has to offer,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
And he's got a really natural ability on the mic, which is really good, you know?
Yeah.
We don't like, who knew this guy? Like, comes out of the woodwork, and it's like, hey, here I am. We can, not only are we offering great wrestling, but we're offering good segments and promos and whatever, you know?
It's important for AEW especially, to, be taken seriously. You don't want to sign a whole bunch of former WWE guys. You also, and WWE, let's be real, they're gonna raid most of the independent talent roster. So AEW has to do what they can to find good talent and get them quickly.
And they found it with him.
And they have a guy in MJF who looks like a superstar, talks like a superstar, acts like a superstar, and performs like a superstar. This guy is their superstar heel in the making. I was impressed with everything he did tonight.
Just from everything.
Including even like the cowardly things he was doing in the match, staying away. Now, as for the match itself, Hangman Adam Page, obviously, I don't think it was a surprise to anybody that knows anything about wrestling. He's the number one contender going against Chris Jericho, the other number one contender for the AEW World Championship at All Out. That he has no business losing any matches leading up to that. You want to keep him looking strong as ever.
Mm-hmm.
You want to keep him looking strong as ever. So he goes over in this match. Now, Hangman Adam Page looks like a star. He has that look. He has the move set. He's got he can cut a promo. But this match, and this is why I'm saying Jim Cornette's wrong that Jungle Boy and Jimmy Havoc didn't need to be there. This isn't just about, let's just do a match just to put Adam Page over. This is a match to also establish these are the stars of AEW, and these are the people that, they're not going to be in the main event scene right now. But
they will be eventually.
Stick with us. You're going to see the evolution of their careers. Jungle Boy, Jimmy Havoc had some great moments in this match. Jungle Boy in particular, even though Adam Page is the star right now, stole the match, in my opinion. Stole the show. He was awesome.
I will say that. I think collectively they had a good match, no doubt about it. But for me, the one in that match was Jungle Boy.
Yeah.
Because he just did things that, like, you expect somebody of his size and stature, to do that stuff, but he also kind of like did different things that maybe seemed a little bit out of character for him. So that's why I really enjoyed it overall. And you know what? You do need the other four. You did need the three other individuals, because the truth of the matter is there was a good distinction between them. I wasn't looking at them like, oh wait, who's that again? Oh, who's this again? Oh, who's that? Whatever. There's a clear character for each individual person, and they all brought something to the match. Yeah. So but Jungle Boy just had like that. Okay, and you want to get excited for other people. You don't want it to be the same individuals. Right. Why not have like this cool little like you know what I mean? Fatal 4-way, going on right now. So, yeah.
No doubt. So it really, it was good. It did its job. Adam Page was always going over, but you want, like, it doesn't hurt to let other people get the rub on the way. As he's ascending, you can also give other people the rub, and
why not?
Put them in, just keep them in the forefront of your mind. It doesn't hurt. So let's see what the chat room is saying about this so far. Good stuff. All right, let's see. So someone's on MJF has nuclear heat, according to Randy M. He says JR compared him to a young Paul Heyman on his podcast and on here tonight. That is high praise. I don't know how. I mean, Paul Heyman is obviously next level genius, and obviously there's some big news with Paul Heyman, and we'll talk about that on the post-Raw show because it very much impacts our show that we recap every week. But yeah, that's some high praise. I don't know if he's a total wrestling genius, but that was good. Quentin Walters said something you might not like. Do you want me to read it to you, Victoria?
You have to now.
Okay. MJF is better than the Miz. And he
no,
even said, sorry, Victoria.
No, but I'm really not mad at him. And you want to know why? I get Miz vibes from him. Do you know what I mean? I get like I'm not in love with him, but obviously like I am the Miz. Like Miz is my number one.
Gosh.
But I do get. I'm saying like that. This is a different. I get the vibes from like just natural on the mic.
Yeah.
And he knows how to play into the crowd and everything else, but he's playing into a different crowd. So
right.
I'm not going to compare the two. I get vibes from each other, but I'm not going to compare the two just because they work for different companies.
Okay.
But I'm not mad at you, Quentin, because I do get what you mean. But Miz is just the love of my life, so he's always going to win.
Yes. James Lacrenza says Miz versus MJF and a promo off. Oh, wow, that'd be good.
Oh, I would love to see that.
Nafi says, let's see. I wonder how much of that was ad-libbed, the promo by MJF. I think it was all ad-libbed. I think so, too. I highly doubt anybody's getting scripted promos after, how much everybody talks about how much they hate that. Well, and you know what? It worked just fine.
You want to know why it was ad-libbed?
Fine.
Here's why it was ad-libbed.
He's playing off the crowd.
Absolutely. Like you can't predict that, how they're going to react to certain things. So absolutely. He's like, oh, I think we got off the wrong foot. I think that was, That
was good.
Yeah.
That was good. Quentin Walters, I love you, Victoria.
I love you too.
Nafi Sadat, his scarf draws heat. Yeah. Very, very
It's
good
Burberry. He has to.
Burberry.
I noticed it.
Oh, yeah. Victoria was like, that's a Burberry scarf.
I'm like, yeah, it's Burberry.
That's Burberry. So, yeah.
Just adds to the snootiness of the whole
no doubt.
thing.
Okay. Cody versus Darby Allin. And before this match, Billy Hefner texted me and he goes, Darby Allin is crazy. Have you ever seen him wrestle? And I have to admit, I have not seen Darby Allin wrestle. And I have to say, I get what they did here. And by the way, love the finish. Absolutely love it. I love that matches have time limits. And if you don't have a pin in the time limit, it's just a draw. It's a draw. It builds to an easy rematch, especially if you have the draw go to like a great drama where, you get the pin and the time expires before you can get the pin. That's what they did tonight. That was the finish. Cody hit the crossroads, covered him. There was like 2 seconds left. The referee started counting, and it's supposed to be 1, 2, 3, like 3 seconds, and the referee counted to 2 in 1 second, and then time expired. But they hit it perfectly. The crowd was counting down. The drama was there. They're even chanting overtime, 5 more minutes. All this stuff. It was that's. I love the time of draw, and I don't know why every wrestling company doesn't utilize it more. I don't know why. Number one, it gives it a more of a real sport feel. So not every match is going to have a finish, and it's not a cheap finish either. I guess if you overdo it, if you overutilize it, but it's not really a cheap finish. Like the old, well, we booked ourselves into a corner here, so let's just do a DQ or a count out tonight. It's like, it's not one of those. Like this. It intends that, you're going to have a good, good drama and a good finish up to the end. So all that stuff was great. I loved it. I loved that finish. I thought the first 15 minutes of the match, I was just sitting around waiting for something crazy from Darby Allin, and we didn't really get it until really the end. He did some nasty bumps in the interim, but it was like what do they call it? The coffin drop at the end, where it's like the Kofi Kingston trust fall, that he does to the floor. My hotkey stopped working, so I gotta. Damn, I hate OBS. Anyway, goes for a coffin drop, and he misses and just crashes and burns on the apron. That looked so nasty, and but the basis of the match is that Allin kept fighting. Cody couldn't put him away, even though Cody didn't really take seriously half the match. He was kind of like gloating and just tossing around a lot. So like, I guess that contributes to why the match wasn't all that exciting. And I guess not every match needs to be exciting, but wow. that was, it built up to a finish, and Allen looked, good. I think if you go to a time limit draw with, somebody who's positioned as like one of the big superstars of the company, that's not a bad place to be. Now, before we go on to the post match, what did you think of the Darby Allin?
I expected more, but until the very end.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I really did. I wasn't really impressed overall, but towards the end, obviously changed my mind a little bit. The one thing I really liked was that Brandy Rhodes wasn't heavily involved.
Yeah.
She was there, but she wasn't interfering with the match. You know what I mean? Like, which I think is important, because I don't think, even though somebody's at ringside, they don't have to be interfering every chance that they get,
Yeah. You're right. That's a good point.
So I really like that aspect of it, but it was very, very slow for me until like maybe the last 5 minutes or so, because once the time crunch started to come into play, that's when I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. Like, the time limit, you know what I mean? But at first I was like, oh, this time limit. I'm like, okay, thank God it has a time limit, because it's going so slow.
Yeah.
But
I wasn't even thinking time limit at first. I really wasn't thinking. I was like, God, what is going to happen in this match? I'm like waiting for something great. But the time limit started coming into effect, and then the commentators started bringing up, oh my God, we have 5 minutes left in the match.
That's why it started to change it. Yeah.
Right. And when they said they had 2 minutes left, Cody's face played it off so well.
Oh, absolutely.
Helped beautifully reestablish the time limit draw, because they said 2 minutes left, and immediately he's like, his face just gave it like one of those, like, oh my God, I better, and then he started trying to put him away really quickly. And that drama was building.
That was great.
It was a beautiful, expert way to reintroduce time limit draws to fans that have not seen time limit draws in 25 years, let's say. 25 years on a regular match, okay? That's some good stuff. Minimum 25 years, I would say. Maybe more. Now come to think of it, I can't remember the last time I saw a time limit draw. It's got to be 25, 30 years since like a legitimate time limit draw on a regular show.
This was my first one.
This is definitely Victoria's first one. Definitely. Okay. Let's talk. Let's just, the elephant is in the room. I don't have a gif of it. I don't want to really show it. But something incredibly stupid and reckless happened in the post-match. Something stupid. And there are morons on Twitter that are like, oh, Mike, you're making too big a deal about, the one unprotected chair shot. It's not all that bad. You are making a big deal over one chair shot. Well, I'm sorry. With all the things that we know about concussions and CTE and chair shots, unprotected chair shots to the head, for AEW, who are trying to establish themselves as, pro wrestling and could, just doing it the right way, this is not the right way to do it. Because, I always said that, I hated when WWE started overdoing the flips and the dives to the outside, because they set the tone, and pretty soon you're going to get everybody doing flips and dives. You don't want to bring back the unprotected chair shot. AEW has a chance to be influencers as well. And to bring back unprotected chair shots is reckless. Sean Spears, the former Ty Dillinger, gets in the ring after the match. Everybody's chanting overtime. Gets in the ring. Cody turns around and he goes, what are you doing here? And Spears cracks him in the head with a steel chair. Cody does not get the hands up. Didn't even try to get the hands up. So they were literally going for an unprotected chair shot, and he cracked full force and in the back of his head. And you could see the skin separated. The back of the chair got him really good. Split his skin open. You could see the skin hanging, the flaps of skin hanging. It was friggin' nasty. And Cody looked legitimately lit up. He's lucky he didn't get a concussion, because that was a really stiff shot. From what I understand, he has 12 staples in his head right now. This was dumb. Just dumb, reckless, a bad example to set. And I hope that, forget like the, backyard butt fests, like whatever they're doing with the light tubes and crap like that. That's not real wrestling. But like, I hope that, independent companies, with up and coming wrestlers that are trying to make an impact, I hope that they don't take this as like, oh, unprotected chair shots are coming back. And the fact that they're mentioning CTE and concussions was kind of tasteless too. And I had a lot of people saying, "Oh, you're making a big deal over one chair shot." Well, you know what? Look at all these wrestlers that have dementia. Look at what happened, with Chris Benoit. I'm not saying one chair shot did it. I'm saying a bunch of chair shots did it. But you don't want to start setting that precedent again. And those people, the ones with dementia, and have had violence issues, are saying that, yeah, it is a big deal. They're saying it either in their tremors and their inability to remember. They're telling you that it's a bad idea to do unprotected chair shots, or in some cases they're talking to you from the grave and telling you that it is a bad deal to start bringing back unprotected chair shots. Reckless, stupid. I hope I never see it again on another professional wrestling broadcast. It's got to go. That should be gone from wrestling. That should be banned everywhere. Maybe I'm making a big deal about it. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. I wanted to let you talk because I know you were very passionate about it.
I was screaming at the TV.
You were, and I think you have every right to be. And the reason why I say that is because the fact that they even mentioned the whole CTE to begin with is ridiculous. You don't need it. Does blood add to matches? Absolutely. Does blood add to certain things? 100%. I just think when you imply that that this is okay to do, it's not all right, and I'm being honest, there was kids in the audience, and there was one little girl who looked absolutely terrified. And I'm not saying we should play into the children necessarily, but what I am saying is though, you have to be careful. Concussions are no joke. They're not. We have definitive proof now of the effects of it. And listen, I've had 4 in my life, in a short amount of time. And knock on wood, I haven't had one since I was like 17 probably. But they're not something that you can mess around with. And listen, I wasn't professionally wrestling and I got my concussions. But, I did other stuff that, and it affected me. I mean, I had no memory for like a day and a half, right. For one of them. It's no joke. Like, you can't mess around with that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, look what happened. If anybody caught the WWE 365 with Alexa Bliss, who had 2 concussions in a short span. And it later, and I actually think I think she personally had a third that they didn't release, that they didn't state, but she said in an interview she thought her career was over, and she said, you know what, like, I'm glad that WWE made me take a step back and wait for everything to get sorted out, because you only get one brain, and you don't want to be dicking around with unprotected chair shots and screwing up, it's great. You can be a wrestler. You can be a wrestler for many years. You can do it for 20 years, 25, 30 years. But eventually there's a life after wrestling.
We can't selfishly...
And you're always going to have the aches and pains from wrestling. You shouldn't also have memory loss, dementia, God forbid, something else.
We can't selfishly be like, for the entertaining component.
No.
Say that, we want the chair shots to the head, or we want things to the head, and we want it because it's realistic. If that's what it takes for you to be entertained, I'm sorry. Like, you can't be selfish like that, because these are people these are real human beings with life after wrestling who have to go on and do their thing. Why do they have to suffer? Because you wanted a chair shot
for
to the head,
and to build up a match that the match would have been built up just fine. There's a natural story with Cody and Shawn Spears, the former Ty Dillinger. They teamed up in OVW when they were both up and coming superstars. They've been friends. It's well known that they're friends. Look, it's a natural storyline, and if Shawn Spears swings the chair and Cody puts the hands up to protect himself and still acts like he got knocked out, that is more than fine to build up that match, and it would be as red hot in Chicago as it would be if he kept his hands down.
An attack is an attack. And
You know,
we're not saying that you shouldn't attack.
And
just don't do it to the head.
And he clocked him. Like, he really clocked him. And I don't know if it was like Cody said that, you know, swing and I'll get my hands up or whatever, but he clocked him. And, you know, if they agreed that it was going to be an unprotected chair shot, the level of force put on that was extraordinarily reckless on Spears' part then, if that is what they agreed to.
I have
to. And if Cody said that he was going to put his hands up and he purposely didn't, then shame on you, Cody Rhodes.
I have to be honest with you. I would, if I accidentally hurt somebody, I would feel terrible.
Yeah.
But if somebody told me, you have to do this, I'd be like, well, then you can fire me, because I'm not doing that. I'm not giving somebody a potential concussion. I'm not intentionally going out of my way.
He can't get fired from two companies.
But I'm just saying, I would not do it. I just wouldn't. I
hear
would
you.
not feel comfortable being like, oh, you have to do this for an effect. I'd be like, well, I'm not doing it.
Right.
I just don't feel comfortable. Like I said, potentially giving somebody a concussion.
Yeah.
It's bad enough when it happens accidentally and you feel like crap.
Right.
Really, I'm going to intentionally go out of my way to do that? No.
Yeah.
There were ways to protect it to make it look like you said, that he got knocked out without actually him being disoriented at the end and splitting his head open.
Yeah. So, you know, it was just it's a bad look. And, you know, AEW, like they want to do things the right way. The right way for not just AEW, but all of professional wrestling, because they're going to be also influence makers in this genre, is to never do another unprotected chair shot again. Okay?
Just words of advice.
Just some words of advice from your old pal, Uncle Mike. Okay. Other than that, not a bad match with Darby Allin, but, you know, and I love the time limit draw, but that really took away from me. It really did, and that's the thing I'm left with.
Sorry.
and after all that beautiful work they did, Lucha Bros and Laredo Kid versus the Elite, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega. The Elite came out dressed like characters from Street Fighter, which got humongous pop. They even did like a Street Fighter pose, kind of like, you know, judo karate chop thing in the center of the ring on the Lucha Bros and Laredo Kid. This was just all action, like Victoria was saying before. I don't know what else we really need to say.
There's really nothing else to say other than the fact that it was just entertaining. It was fun. It was action-packed. And these two styles work together.
Yeah.
And I like how they mention that, too.
Right.
You know, there's these different styles, but they just really, like, woo.
Yeah. I loved Matt Jackson doing the Northern Lights suplexes. I loved... This is a great spot here. When Omega hits a moonsault and then a diving elbow drop by Matt Jackson, then Nick Jackson does the Swanton Bomb. There is just action upon action upon action in this match. The craziest thing, though, I thought by far, and I'm just going to show it here, was Nick Jackson going for he was going for like something, like some kind of dive to the floor. Phoenix walks the ropes and does a Spanish fly to the floor. Oh my God, that was nuts. That was totally nuts. This was just I have to read my thing because it sums up perfectly for like what I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Victoria said it perfectly, but I'm just going to say what I said. Unreal 6-man tags, just so much action. And it's true. I was exhausted just from watching it, let alone recapping it. Like, this was like, oh my, it's like
I don't know how you
ADHD
recapped it. I really
worst
don't.
nightmare.
I don't know how you recapped it.
I played Street Fighter when I was a kid. I don't play it anymore, so like those references were a little over my head, but it definitely got the fans fired up. They're playing to the video game crowd. Great action. It was just fun to watch. That was easily one of the highlights of the night. Okay, now the main event. Victoria has... I've shown her some hardcore matches in the past, and if you really want hardcore, just go to... On Facebook, just go to Superhuman's website, Superhuman, spelled Humman, to watch a stunt boy do elbow drops into freaking wheelbarrows with barbed wire and thumbtacks and crazy.
Poor guy.
Like, he's such an idiot, that kid. But so I've seen Victoria has seen some hardcore stuff in the past, but nothing quite like this. And watching Victoria's reactions to thumbtacks in the feet and the barbed wire boards and the barbed wire chair and the elbow drop off the ladder to the floor. It was so much fun to watch. Everything was like, it was hilarious. I don't know like what the hell is going on. I was like, oh my God, like I don't know what the neighbors upstairs are thinking, or it's like there's a lot of like shrieking and noises going down here. It's like crazy. Oh, she's already pregnant. But it was crazy. And what did you think of it as one of the first real legitimate hardcore matches you've ever seen?
Whoa. No, yeah, I mean, like, I was speechless, and I was speechless and squeaking at the same time. Like, noises were coming out of me that I was just not expecting at all by any means. No, it was something else. I was like, oh my gosh, like I did not expect I mean, I've seen like barbed wire and I've seen thumbtacks and but this is just like a masterpiece of like all those things come together.
The masterpiece of violence.
Yeah. Like I have to imagine like if this is how you're going to torture somebody, this is all the kind of weapons that you'll use to torture
Yes. Them. Yes. Although we have seen we have been live when they've used thumbtacks.
No,
in the ill-fated, I think what the hell was it called? The hardcore steel cage. We went to Extreme Rules a few years ago.
No,
and
I know.
Jericho and Dean Ambrose they did some thumbtacks in like one of the worst hardcore matches of all time.
This is just different though. I don't know because it was just non-stop torture.
They were just.
I mean, mostly to Moxley in the beginning.
Yeah, Moxley.
At the first, I was like. Is he gonna take anything? Like I was like, okay, he's taking like all these like brutal like punishments, and then obviously it changed towards the end, but he still kind of wound up with a lot more of the brutality because even though he was the one who did all the thumbtacks and everything like that, he still was the one who landed on them at the end when he he took an unreal amount of punishment, including being busted open hard way on the eyebrow early on, but. There was one spot early on that I forgot about because the match was just so damn violent. I was like, I was with you. I was like, man, it's all Moxley taking all this stuff. So, but it was leading to Janela taking the worst of it, with the thumbtacks and the feet and stuff like that. But there was one spot early on where he set, I keep calling him Ambrose, and I probably have an Ambrose in my recap somewhere, so I have to go and check it out. But he sits Moxley down on a steel chair and dives up the top rope with a flip. Moxley moves and he lands on the open steel chair. Like that is like a recipe for snapping your spinal cord in two. Like that was just reckless danger, craziness. But here's some highlights of Moxley just getting brutalized early on. That is Hurricane Rana onto a steel chair wrapped in barbed wire. They were trying to, and then obviously, I love Moxley's face when he got hit with the chair. That was, I mean, you can't fake that. Cannot fake that whatsoever. Fake.
Can't fake it. And this was legit barbed wire because they were trying to slide. I saw him try to slide the chair and it immediately got caught in the canvas. I was like, that's real barbed wire.
Yeah, no, and because when Janela also when he got caught when it was on the floor, like by the barricade, they had it where he had to put his fingers in order to get out of it, and his finger started bleeding immediately when he touched it. So it was definitely not like a, it was legit.
It's gonna be hard to sit down for a few days for Joey Janela because he landed butt first on that barbed wire. It's gonna be very difficult to go to the restroom. I would imagine.
Could you imagine that's your job though? Like.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna have like all these thumbtacks in your feet and in your back, and you're gonna have this barbed wire in your back.
You're so right. Like like we look at these people and it's like they're at work right now. This is their job. They're working. That's a weird night on the job. But the best was at the end with Moxley hitting the double arm DDT into the thumbtacks.
Ooh. And
somehow a thumbtack got in his mouth and he spat it right at the camera. That was such an awesome visual. So cool. But he was really, right there. Spits it right out of his mouth. That was friggin' awesome. Yeah, there is no PG version of Moxley now. This was just nasty. And the post-match assault by Kenny Omega, well done. And I love that, even though he beat the ever-loving crapola out of Moxley, at the end, Moxley's kind of like the New Age Mick Foley, where he's laying on the ramp laughing at all this brutalization from Kenny Omega. So they're going to, I got to tell you, that match in Chicago, that is going to be one hell of a match.
And a great story. A great story.
Yeah.
That's a great build right there. That was just something else.
That is like,
and Kenny
that's
Omega,
one of those main events that they're gonna layer on the cake. At All In.
That's like the cherry on. That's the cherry on top. Even though I don't like cherries on my ice cream.
I don't like cherries either. I used to until
I know until me. But that was like, whoa, that was right there, cherry on top for like the whole thing, for sure.
Somebody just goes, bang, bang, cue Moxley smiling like cactus. That's James in the chat room. I wanted it for 20 years. I finally got my Cactus Jack
I was just about to say that
t-shirt from Pro Wrestling Tees in the mail. I was so happy. And I also ordered a Macho Man shirt, and of course they sent me the wrong color, so now I got to deal with Pro Wrestling Tees and their terrible return policy in order to get the thing that I actually ordered and wanted. And I also did a grab bag. And I never, ever thought that I'd say this, but I am the proud owner of a Bullet Club New York t-shirt. Like it was like they had this thing on Pro Wrestling Tees where it's like $7 and they give you just like a random shirt. I was thinking I was going to get like, something from like, a shirt praising Tugboat of the, or Akeem the Dream from the Natural Disasters or like whatever. Like I got a Bullet Club shirt, so that's my new pajama shirt now is a Bullet Club shirt.
And you got Mick Foley's autograph.
And they sent me Mick Foley's autograph, which wasn't the shirt that I ordered. That one was the $40 one, so I guess I can't really complain Pro Wrestling Tees too much. They accidentally upgraded my Cactus Jack order, and they gave me the wrong Macho Man shirt. So, whatever. Kind of weird. But overall, what did you final thoughts on the show?
Yeah, no, definitely like 2 thumbs up for sure.
Yeah.
Not just 1, 2.
Yeah.
It was it was really good. It was really, really good. And there wasn't any point during the show where I was like, oh, I'm bored. You know what I mean? Well,
right.
except for the Cody.
I was kind of losing.
And that Matt, like that I had bored moments for sure, but I wasn't like.
But once it built, it was
well done.
Yeah, it was well done. People in the chat room, tell us what you think of it as well. I agree with Victoria. I have to give this a thumbs up. It was just loads and loads of fun. And 89% of our followers on Twitter also give it a thumbs up. Actually,
did it go up or
no? It was at like 90%. Now it's at 89 again. Somebody commented on it, says, not to sound masochistic here, but the Moxley Janela event could have been more bloody, more believable. More believable. Oh my god!
How do you get more believable?
How do you get the thumbtacks in your feet?
Oh my god! And they were bleeding.
He goes, if Cody can take a blade bump earlier that night, why can't they? Well, Cody didn't take a blade bump. He took a hard way bump. With the chair. So
what is that person talking about?
He just wow. Quentin says 5 out of 69. I look. He goes. James Lacarenza says, or Lacarenza. I always feel like I'm saying his name wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, James. He goes, I really love AEW. I'm so into the product. I'll skip the next few pre-shows though. I look forward to AEW main cards unlike other promotions.
James agreed.
I had to agree. He says, thumbs up and please get Jim Ross commentary on the pre-show. I actually like not using Jim Ross on the pre-show, and I'll tell you why. Older guy, you don't want to burn him out too much. You don't want to leave him out there for 4 hours or more. He's just not there. Kind of save him. Kind of differentiate the pre-show from like the main card too. Like when Jim Ross comes out, that it's business time. Business just picked up.
Real.
My God, it just picked up. So I kind of like leaving him off the pre-show. Shifty Lex gives it a mild thumbs up. Randy M says the pre-show just needs work. Other than that, thumbs up. Nafis Sadat gives it the okay sign and a thumbs up. Mex Guy, thumbs up. Quentin Walters, 69 thumbs up.
He's following the Wrestleview trend.
Yeah. So, yeah, a good show. It seems like everybody liked it. We enjoyed it. We had some fun. Not the worst way to spend a Saturday night. So, hey, that's AEW's second show. Another success.
Good job, AEW.
Another success. I think we'll be back in 2 weeks for Fight for the Fallen, or are we going to be down the shore? I don't know. We'll update you. But I do know we will be back on Monday for the post-Raw show number 42. I think it is now. Is it 42?
You can't ask me.
I don't know. Victoria's surprised about it every single time. Billy gives it a thumbs up as well.
Stop making fun of my pregnancy brain.
And also, on the post-Raw show, obviously we'll be talking about Raw, but we're going to lead off with a long discussion about Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff signing to be executive directors of Raw and SmackDown, and the implications that could mean that, like, this is not a storyline.
Oh, I have my thoughts.
We'll be talking about all that stuff, so please make sure you check out that show. We hope to see everybody there. Randy M asks, is anyone going to recap the Evolve show that same night? I don't know. We could probably arrange that. We'll see. But in the meantime, we're going to take off now. It's Saturday night. I know everybody wants to either get to doing whatever they want to do on Saturday night. Nafis actually has it great because he lives in Seattle, so he's 3 hours behind us. It's only 9:30 over there. Good night, Tedesco's and Baby Tedesco. See you guys on Monday. Yes, we look forward to it. Yeah, it's going to be good. So, Quentin, everybody, ciao. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you on Monday for the post-Raw show.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.